I'm currently trying a 2-minute exposure. Really struggled with this one. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I was originally planning on going up to Fontrocha again to see if the autumn colours are out, but I've only really got the afternoon available, and by the time I'd driven up there, because it's an hour and 10 minutes or something like that drive, it was going to be getting on for the middle of the afternoon, and I think any light on the scene would probably be gone. Plus I've got a little bit of a cold, nothing drastic, just a bit of a head cold, and Fontrocha's got some quite steep climbing, so I didn't really fancy that. So instead I decided, as it's been a few weeks since I've done any coastal photography, I would head out onto the cliff trails here just north of Villajoyosa, kind of between Villajoyosa and Benidorm. Just have a nice walk this afternoon, see what I can find to shoot, and hopefully I'll get something kind of around sunset. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do, and you're not already a subscriber, please consider hitting subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Started out with a fleece on. By the time I'd actually climbed up onto the coastal trail, I was too hot, so I had to take it off and stash it away, but I suspect a little bit later this afternoon I shall be glad of it. Walked along the trail for 20 minutes or so, just thought I'd have a little stop here, talk about what I'm hoping to do. It's just under 3 hours until actual sunset, although I suspect if we're going to get decent light it's probably going to be half an hour or so before sunset, so maybe in 2.5 hours. So I've got plenty of time to just chill out, explore, relax, try and find a couple of possible compositions, make a decision, and then set up and shoot. I might even be able to get a couple of shots in, we'll have to see. We've got some quite nice cloud around. Difficult shooting the coastline, or the coastline in this part of Spain, because most of the year you don't get any light on the actual coastline at sunset. Sunrise, yes, but at sunset the sun tends to be setting over the land, so most of the coastline is in shadow. But we are second half of November, it's the 18th of November now for reference, and the sun's far enough around that there's a few places where we might get some nice light. We'll have to wait and see what we find, as always, and I suppose I better get on and see what I can find. Time to do some more walking. Okay, so it's still pretty early. We're still probably 2 hours before I was thinking I was going to be shooting, but I've got quite a nice scene here in front of me. There's the cliffs and the coastline kind of winds out. We've got Benidorm Island out there, and then we've got some really nice clouds up above. So I decided I wanted to try a long exposure on this. I'm not entirely sure it's going to work unless I go crazy long, which I don't really want to do. The reason I say that is because there's not much movement in the clouds. I've dropped the ISO down to the low 1 setting, put in a 10-stop ND filter and a 2-stop hard-edged ND grad. The reason for adding the grad is there's a bright spot appeared in the sky. I'm currently trying a 2-minute exposure. We'll see if it works. That might work. Looks better than I thought it was going to, actually. Okay, so I scrambled down from up there all the way down here to get down by the water. I can't get too close. The waves are crashing up quite high. So I've gone for the slightly safer option. I'm sitting up on a rock just above the water. It's kind of crashing in around this, I don't know what it is here, it's just this bit that's sticking out. There's almost a little cave down here. Some quite nice waves breaking in. There's some clouds out there. The sun sort of partially in, partially out of the clouds. I could put on like a 6-stop filter or something, but I don't really want a massively slow shutter speed for this. I want to keep it pretty fast. So all I've done is I've gone to f16 and the ISO down on the low 1 setting, just giving me 1/60th of a second. I'm just trying to catch the waves as they break. Really struggled with this one. So what I've got is the coastline comes in on the bottom left hand side and just kind of comes in a bit and then works its way around, coming out. The bit that sticks out is just below the horizon. I did toy with the idea of leveling it up, but I don't think it works as well. Then we've got the island out there, that's kind of over on the right hand third. And then we've got some quite nice cloud patterns. I have to say the cloud patterns aren't as nice as they were earlier, and I'm hoping they don't disappear before the sun breaks through. That's a vertical orientation. I'm at 35mm. 2/3 sky, 1/3 below the horizon. At the moment, f11 and 1/20th of a second at ISO 64. But that might change when the light comes through. And what I'm looking for is the light hitting basically the coastline here, which hopefully it will do. Probably more the more distant part of it than the part in the foreground. I'm not entirely convinced about this composition. There's an awful lot of empty blue sea in the bottom right hand side. and I tried using bushes and rocks and other things to balance it out, and I just couldn't make it work. So I'm hoping that there might be just enough sort of like tone appear in the sea to make it work, and that sun's breaking through the clouds now. So I'm probably going to start shooting any time now when we get light on the scene, and I'll probably shoot a few shots over the next 20-25 minutes and just see which one gets the best light. Okay, so the clouds that were higher in the sky have kind of drifted across and almost burnt out. But what we've got now is a nice, almost kind of wide V-shape pattern of clouds out in the distance. I've switched over to a landscape format. I was shooting portrait before. I've still got basically 2/3 sky, 1/3 below the horizon. The coastline just kind of wraps in from the corner, with Benidorm Island kind of out there in the middle of the scene roughly, and then those beautiful cloud patterns. 16mm now to fit everything in, and contrary to the normal rules for shooting wide angle, nothing close up in the foreground. It's just about fitting the scene in. There's still an awful lot of blue sea out there that isn't particularly appealing. Some quite nice light on the scene now from the sun, which is now there, and it's now 30 minutes before sunset. So I was kind of right. I thought roughly 30 minutes before sunset would be when we got the best of the light, and it's looking like this is going to be the best of the light, I think. I'm really struggling with this composition. I've just clambered up onto the hillside up here. I've been further down the cliff face down there, just trying to get a better view. For me, the star of this scene is the clouds. The landscape itself actually isn't all that appealing. And what I've done now, I've actually turned the camera a little bit further round, so it's pointing a bit more out to sea. That's putting the little island, which is Peacock Island or Benidorm Island, pretty much on the bottom left-hand third intersection. Just that little bit of coastline coming around. A lot of empty sea out on the right-hand side, which I'm not so keen on. But a beautiful cloud pattern coming in from the right-hand side, so we've got a bit of balance there to that, and then some nice clouds still over on the left-hand side, and some blue sky up above. Sun's broken through the cloud there. We've got light on the scene. Some reasonably nice tones in the sky, certainly some nice textures and patterns. Okay, the light's gone on the landscape that way. Couldn't resist just trying one quick shot. It's a very, very rushed composition. Just got this path leading out, got some hills, and then we've got the sun setting over there with some reasonably nice clouds in. I haven't really got time to do filters before that sun disappears, so I'm going to do one shot at a 30th of a second for the sky. And then one at a 6th of the second for the foreground, and I'll merge those in post. Okay, so I've hung around for a little while after sunset, as I normally do. There's some quite nice pink tones in parts of the sky, but they're starting to fade now, and I think it's all over. It's been a nice trip out. Hopefully I've got a couple of images. Hopefully. And if I have, you'll have seen them by now. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, giving it a like, and you could always consider sharing it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever other options there are, if you feel so inclined. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment, and if you're not a subscriber, don't forget about hitting that subscribe button. Anyway, as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.